Hi, I'm Maggie.
And I'm Joe from Average Joe's RV Living Blog.
We're coming to you today from Humbug Mountain State Park. We're in southern Oregon and we are only 60 miles away from the California border.
Yeah, California, here we come.
So here we are, still on the Oregon Wild Coast. We had a 160-mile drive down yesterday.
Yep, and this road, it's Route 101, which is the old highway. It's very old and it's windy and narrow in parts and almost all single lane. And up and down because it's mountainous, so very challenging driving when you're towing.
And yeah, and of course we kept pulling over to let people go by so that we wouldn't slow down traffic too much.
Yep.
And so we've been here for 2 days. We had beautiful weather in Beverly Beach. It was sunny every day, so much warmer than Fort Stephen. And now we're here, and even though the weather is less than perfect, it still feels like it's getting a little bit warmer.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like that icy winter that we were feeling a little bit further north. And I just have to add, after that tough 160-mile drive, which we shared, Maggie did an awesome job of backing in the rig. I've actually got some footage of that just to show how great she did.
Great team effort.
Okay, I'll pull it forward a little bit now just to straighten out a bit. Straighten out the truck. Okay, far enough. Straighten your wheels. Gently backward. Gently backward. You're looking golden. Just keep coming. Doing well. Doing good. Doing excellent.
However, when we pulled in, the spot that they originally assigned to us, we tried a couple of times to get into it. And even though we felt good about the skills, it was just too tight because our truck has a long bed and it's a four-wheel drive and it just doesn't turn very, very tightly. So we just went and talked to the park host and got them to give us a bigger site. So good thing to note, if it's really tough, ask for help, and quite often they can find you another site.
Absolutely. Anyway, so here we are with our home all set up again. Only there was a bit of a curveball this morning. We woke up to a blistering wind and rainstorm.
Oh God!
Really, really 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, driving rain, and not nice at all, basically.
So the trailer was definitely rocking when we woke up, that's for sure. And we're giving you this update now because we wanted you to see that not all days are sunny and we're barbecuing. We're having various challenges with the weather. We had a few rainy days in Fort Stevens. This morning when we took the dogs for a walk, we were all soaked, like thoroughly soaked through to the skin. And despite all that, we walked the dogs down to the beach, and the minute their paws hit the sand, they just take off like puppies and frolic in the sand. It's a strange phenomenon with them.
Yeah. Anyway, we got back and then we just kind of toughed it out, holed up inside here, listening to this raging storm outside. And at some point Maggie says, well, at least there's no lightning. And it must have been 30 seconds later we heard the first thunder. Thanks, Maggie. Jinxing that one.
So let's cast back, because we were up at Beverly Beach just outside of Newport for about 6 days, and the weather there was beautiful. The beaches were, of course, exceptional. I've run out of nice words to use for the beaches. Just trust me, they're all jaw-droppingly gorgeous. We visited the Yaquina Head Lighthouse, which is called an outstanding natural area. Truly, they're not exaggerating. It is an outstanding area. And while we were there, we saw some gray whales offshore, mostly just their spouts, but we definitely saw some whale action.
Yeah, that was great. And then we also really enjoyed the very friendly visitors center that they've got there, where they have exhibits and videos, and you get to learn about how the lighthouses were run in the old days by watching a video and take a look at all this interesting stuff. And they were actually run like military units, right?
Yep, they had unannounced inspections. They could be any time of the night or day, and sometimes they were literally in the middle of the night. And it wasn't just that they were checking up on the lighthouse keepers. They were checking up on the wives and how clean they were keeping the lighthouse living quarters.
So while we were staying at Beverly Beach, we really enjoyed the nearby town of Newport. It's a very interesting town. It has these distinct areas. So the first night we chose a nice restaurant called Nana's, and it turned out to be in an area called Beach, which is a historic area, very arty and with lots of history to it, interesting to walk around and look at, and it has a beautiful beach there as well.
Yeah, and the next day we came back with the dogs and took a wonderful long walk on the beach. Afterwards, we went to the historic Bay area of Newport, which is a fishing community, and I think it's the largest fishing community on the Oregon coast. And there were sea lions on the fishing dock as well. And remember when we were taking the dogs down the gangplank?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they were so afraid. They were like spiders with their legs straight out, going down the ramp. I think Joe's got some footage.
Legs and toes splayed out so they didn't fall through the grating, right?
Yeah, and the sea lions, not only were they on the fishing dock, but we came around the corner and there was a whole, 10 feet of dock of just devoted to sea lions. They actually called it the sea lion dock, and they were all fighting and growling and roaring at each other and falling in and out of the water. It was quite a sight.
Just really grumpy creatures. Anyway, and then down in that area, I was lucky enough to pick up a rain jacket, and that turned out to be just in time for the rainstorm of today. But it was interesting because we saw these great-looking jackets in the window, and we were like, oh, that looks pricey. And then we looked closer, and they were $30 cash. So, coming from Vancouver, we've got used to, if you see a great jacket in the window, you don't even bother to ask because it's probably going to be $300. So at that price, we snapped it up, and it was a good thing because it kept me dry for a while this morning anyway.
Most of the walk.
Another
place we went to down in south of Newport was called Devil's Punch Bowl. And Joe read about all these fantastic water spouts and whistling noises, so it got us up at the crack of dawn, so it was high tide. And of course it wasn't a high tide enough. Now it was still a beautiful area, but there was no plumes of water or whistling noises.
Still got some great shots of the scenery though. And we met a really nice couple who were also in a fifth wheel, full timing for about 4 years, I think they said. And they gave us some good advice about what to expect on the road from, where were we? Beverly Beach down to
California,
yeah. And they told us, gave us the happy news that the worst was behind us, although I think there was a little bit of a stretch. I think there was still a little bit of the worst to come, but anyway, we made it.
And we also went down to the South Beach State Park just to check it out. It was an area that, or a park I thought maybe we might stay at. I'm really glad that I chose Beverly Beach after seeing the layout of that campsite.
Parking lot.
Yeah, very much. I mean, it kind of looked like a scrubby parking lot with grass on it. But anyway, it really is an attraction for surfers, so there were a lot of surfing people there. And in the water surfing with wetsuits. That must have been cold.
In November. Yeah, I was pretty impressed that those surfers were out there in that freezing water.
So now we're in Humbug Mountain, and so we are close to Port Orford and Bandon, the two nearest towns. And we're looking forward to spending some time exploring both of those places. We drove through Port Orford yesterday and took a little bit of a look around on our way to find Wi-Fi so we could upload things.
Yep, and just don't forget the scenery between here and Port Orford is just spectacular. It's just this winding coast and these huge rocks out in the water. So I'm looking forward to getting some footage of that when the weather improves a bit. And while we were checking out Port Orford, we drove down onto the dock. And I was really interested to learn more about the dock and to have a closer look because it's very unusual.
That's an open water port, so the boats are lifted down on hoists in and out of the water. And so we also noticed that there's a restaurant named Griff's nearby, so we're already planning to go and have lunch down there one day, and hopefully we'll see some boats coming in and out of the water.
Yeah, this Griff's is just this interesting looking rustic building right on the dock, so kind of got to go there for some fresh fish and to watch the hoisting. And
it's got great reviews. The food is supposed to be really, really delicious and fresh. And we also found the other great restaurant in town called Redfish, a little bit more upmarket, but from all the reviews, the prices are reasonable. Stunning location. You're on the rocks overlooking the beach and back onto the port. So we're eating dinner early these days so that we can try and catch some daytime views of the local area.
Yeah, like 4:30. It's worth it to see the view. As soon as they open, we're waiting on the
I think it's
outside.
5. I think it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah, 5 o'clock, yeah. Anyway, our next stop's going to be Klamath on the California coast.
And yeah, we're watching the weather right now. I mean, if it looks like this kind of wind and rainstorm is going to keep up, we'll probably look for a window of good weather and get out of Dodge. But we'll have to just see how it goes.
Well, we have to balance it off because apparently this rainstorm that was here was also on the California coast, so we're hoping that would have knocked out the remainder of the campfire that was a huge wildfire that's been raging there.
And the air quality.
And improved the air quality, which has not been... Well, in parts of California, it's been the worst in the world just recently.
Right, yeah, we just saw a report of people wearing gas masks.
Yeah, so obviously we're not wanting to run into that, but on the other hand, kind of keen to get away from
rain
and driving winds. Yeah, so we'll just have to watch the weather carefully and jump when it seems to make sense.
So anyway, the storm looks like it's passed. We're still here. We're all warm and safe, and whatever happens, we'll be sure to check in again soon from California.
Yeah, just 100 miles down the coast to Klamath, I think.
100 miles.
100 miles from here, and we should be in warmer weather.
So later in the afternoon, after the storm had cleared, we had a knock on our trailer door, and one of our neighbors invited us to a wine tasting that afternoon at 3 o'clock. How wonderful. We went over there. There were a number of other campers from different sites, and we had a lovely time meeting and exchanging stories. We had a couple of people we liked so much that we met for the next 2 nights around the campfire promptly at 3 o'clock and had our wines.
So basically, life changed dramatically for us that day. We went from terrifying windstorm in the morning to lovely time drinking wine with the neighbors that evening. And it reminded us of how much fun camping life can be.
I'll see you in a minute.
This never gets old.
Poor Billy. No. Oh, Mummy's boy. So thanks for watching, and please help us grow our channel by liking and subscribing. See you next time.
See you next time.